Are we live? I hope so. Let's see if it's showing up here. I'm on my own here, no tech, and a battery that might not get through the whole thing. But let us try to honor Water Day. You know, there's so much else going on. But as I discovered doing a little research in all of this, that, this virus crisis, this will pass. It won't be pleasant, but it will pass. But the water crisis has been going on forever and likely will go on that way. But there's a lot of organizations out there doing some great work to get clean, potable water to people that need it. Billions of people that can't wash their hands because they don't have water that they can drink or hardly even clean up with. And I got to thinking about this. I was watching a lot of reports on the CNN, and it just came to me to come up with a tune, and it's not my usual fare, but I started playing it up at the Hone Smith bar. The audience was picking up on it. Every time I played it, I had some comments, and it wasn't hardly written back then, but I kept working on it. Now we got a great record. You can hear it on YouTube. And we made a video, a beautiful video. Thank you, Kez. And I even created a Spotify playlist for today, World Water Day. It's called a soundtrack for World Water Day. You can find it on Spotify. It's got this tune on there and a few others that I found. Doobie Brothers that I remembered from a long time ago. The woman needs water, she's dying of thirst. Asking why has her life been so cursed? Her children starving, she's praying for rain. Tribal war brings more hardship and pain. There's water yonder, but nothing for her. A cry in the desert, can you hear? Donny Waterloo, she's swift. Donny Waterloo, baby crying in the dark of night, mother desperate with no help in sight, hiding the child so they won't be found. No turning back, village burned to the ground. Well, they killed her son and they raped her daughter, and it's been days since she's had a drink of water. Donny Waterloo, hi Aaron. She's swift. Donny Waterloo, in my head, and Harry Manx sliding on that Mohan Vina. It's a beautiful arrangement. Check it out on the YouTube. After I'd written the song, somebody said, Brian, we got water problems right here at home. It's not all just out in the African continent. And I looked up some of that stuff and added a new verse. In Attawapiskat, there's water in the sink, but half the time it's not safe to drink. Well, it's no wonder things have gone so wrong, with the water protectors all beaten down. Well, it's come to haunt us, and it's gonna get worse when the so-called civilized world is dying of thirst. Dunny, what a low she's swift. Dunny, what a low she's swift. Dunny, what a low she's swift. Dunny, what a low. The Water Song. I thought this would show up on my iPad here. I had such pretty high-tech setup here. This is the first time I've tried to use something other than the built-in mic on the iPhone, because now the iPhone is so far, I cannot read what anybody might be writing. If somebody, okay, nobody said we can't hear you. Now, the other thing I did, we had our last gig last Saturday at the Homesmith Bar. And it was after that they shut it down. But we did have a nice crowd out, and it was the second, maybe third time I've had a chance to put together 3 songs that cover my entire career, you could say. The first one was probably the second or third tune I ever wrote. And I was playing in a band called Tough Beans. We were an NDG band in Montreal, and we were playing around, and I can't remember if I was playing bass or guitar, maybe a bit of both, but I wasn't a vocalist in the band, but they did give me my one spot. They said, Brian, you can do a tune here, and that tune was one I had just written. It was called Don't Forget Your Mother. And as it turned out, it was a popular tune in the set, and on one gig, a producer by the name of Andre Perry, Montreal, well-known figure on the music scene in Montreal, this is around 1971, 72, he heard that song, and he said, Brian, we've got to record that, and he was in a position to do it. So he got me in the studio. He said, we're going to get the Mothers to back you up on that. And I had to chuckle. But wouldn't you know that he did manage to get not Zappa himself, but most of the band, after their gig at the Montreal Forum, they all came over to the studio. They must have been well compensated for that late shift. And there they were, and Zappa himself, like I said, declined. But the rest of them, if they weren't in the studio recording with me, they were in the control room getting smashed. And it was a great old party. And that record built up from there with overdubs of a string section from the Montreal Symphony and a boys' choir from a private school. And who else played on that? Manhattan Transfer. I guess, I don't know if they came in specially for that, but Laurel Massé and Janice Siegel did some backup vocals on it. And I think Sue Lothrop is singing on there. And I remember even Ron Dan had done some pedal steel, although that might have been on an earlier version of it. So a lot of production time went into that song, and that kind of established me, if I dare say, as a cult figure, you know, because we got some big exposure. I played that opening for Lou Reed just when he was coming through town on that big hit of his, Walk on the Wild Side, and then Seals and Crofts. I was opening for them. I did a nice show with Joni Mitchell. It was I just got a low battery message. That might have been the end of it. I don't know. We'll see. But let me just try to get through this trilogy and see what happens. The first one was Don't Forget Your Mother. In the middle, I'm going to sing a song called Enfant Choisi. And lastly, I will play the tune I just wrote for a mother that I never knew I had. I discovered through the ancestry DNA. Remember when you were small and cut your foot? There was only one person in the world who could make it feel good. And as the years passed by, you grew a little older. But still there wasn't a day that passed when you didn't need your mother. So don't forget your mother. Don't forget your mother. That's how that one went. And then we got into the story of my adoption. How it's in French, but to give you a little English preview, I hope that battery lasts. Picture back in Sherbrooke, Quebec, 1946 was the year. A little infant baby boy was left with the nuns there, who occasionally took in young women in trouble, as they called it back then. And those nuns worked at the hospital across the way in Sherbrooke, and there was a woman there who had just given birth to a child who lived only a few days, and they knew she had been in previously with some miscarriages, and they thought maybe she was a good prospect to adopt this little baby. So they brought this cherubic-faced baby boy over, and she wouldn't hear of it. She wouldn't look at the baby. She was still grieving. But the nuns persisted. They came back again with another baby. And the woman still wouldn't hear of it, sent them away. But then, just before she was about to leave the hospital, the nuns showed up one more time, and now she kind of surprised them and said, I've talked it over with my husband, and we decided, yes, we will adopt. But I want you to bring me back the first one. Enfant choisi. Chosen child. Enfant choisi. Chosen child. Sœur supérieure, venez regarder. Il y a une dame dans l'hôpital, très découragée. Un enfant malade qui vient juste de mourir. Deux fausses couches et des choses encore pires. Goes on to repeat the whole story there in French, en français. J'espère qu'il y a du monde qui comprend un peu de français. And then it brings us to now. Just last year when I did this DNA test, and all of a sudden I had a new cousin. And that cousin, through the amazing research of Margaret Stowe, found out that we had a common great-grandfather, and worked our way down from the great-grandfather to the grandparents to a family up in northern Ontario with 5 sisters in the family. And Margaret said, you know, one of those is probably your mother. And more DNA tests were done, and I'm so happy to say I have a couple of half-sisters. I've been in touch with them, and I also met a sort of a distant cousin who just passed away. She was a nun, and she was kind of a bit of a hobby historian, and she knew a lot about my birth mother that she was able to relate with me in a few letters, and that ended up being the song called "The Mother I Never Knew." And I just heard a mix of this a couple of nights ago. This is going to be on the album, and if we're still on the air, you're going to see, let me pull it up now, if you can see the link for the PayPal, or if you wanted to make, this is the tip jar, this is the new paradigm for us online musicians, because we're not out there with a cash flow anymore. So any contribution will help to get this album finished and mastered. And here's a song for the mother I never knew. And Mother's Day coming up, you know. She was a mother, a single mom making do, working at Simpson's. She's the mother I never know. Someone to lean on. She was there to help you work things through. Spent her life helping others. She's the mother I never knew. She was never angry, and she'd calm you down if you were. It's the mother I never knew. That passed. And it's been beautiful to know these things. Hope she knew that she was loved. Thank the family for the memories that showed me who she was. A kind-hearted woman and a person of very deep faith. Only thinking of others. Some might even call her a saint. But she was just a mother, a single mom making do, working at Simpson's. She's the mother I never knew. She's the mother I never knew. She's the mother I never knew. Well, I hope this is still rolling with the phone calls coming in and everything else. This is a good test run to see if this is going to work and if it's worth it having an extra mic and everything plugged into a mixer. But here, one thing I can do now, though, is play a little bit of that Don't Forget Your Mother production. I'll leave you with this. And don't forget the tip jar. Here's how that sounded. A beautiful production. Nick Blagona was the engineer of that time, 1973. And don't forget your mother. May 10th is Mother's Day, remember.
And starting to
That's how it sounded.
Don't cry, Mother.
Now you're on your own, and things are going pretty good. But but you don't get to see your mother as often as you should. That's alright, she understands, and she knows you still love her. But maybe you should try to pick up a phone once in a while and remind her.
If you don't recognize that voice, that's Beverly Glenn Copeland. Hey, Glenn. Thanks to everybody for watching.